Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinabadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratham Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Before we start the chapter 6 of Bhagavad-Gita, which is going to deal with the topic of meditation, Dhyana Yoga, where the details that are discussed by Lord Krishna as advised to Arjuna will be very technical. For Bhagavad-Gita's main subject matter is Brahma Vidya, or the knowledge of the self. Meditation is the means to realize the highest self, and therefore it is going to be a technical detail going to be discussed in this chapter. But for a common man, meditation is a method of quietening the mind, feeling some inner peace, etc. And that is how most people view it. And therefore, to give a proper introduction is essential. So before going to the serious discussion on meditation, we'll see the preliminary aspects that will help us to understand step by step. A scientific approach to any technical matter starts with having some focus. As I said, meditation is a scientific process of overcoming our present condition of bondage, and therefore, first of all, we need to realize where our bondage lies, for which we need to know what are the different layers of our personality through which we operate. This we have discussed before in other subject and earlier chapters of Bhagavad-Gita, but it is always necessary for us to revisit those ideas in the context of meditation. Secondly, we are going to see what is meditation and why meditate. As I have said earlier, there are many concepts of meditation. Some people say it is just breathing and quietening the mind. Someone would say it is just watching the thoughts, or someone would say just listening to some meditative music and quietening the mind. And many such theories and practices are there in the common man's practice. And many different masters have different approaches also. Some of the yogis would say it is the movement of energy from all the way from the base energy to the topmost. There are such practices are also prevalent even today. So what is meditation and why it is necessary for a youth to meditate? Why it is necessary for a person who is interested in achieving many things in life through daring adventures or challenges, and why such a person also requires this practice. And finally, the basic steps for meditation. So let us see one by one here. The first one is understanding the layers of our personality. So the layers are known as sheets or koshas in Vedanta. They are the layers of the evolution. In the perception of Vedanta, if you take the stones, which are inert matter, they only have the external form, which is made of earth, water, air, fire, and therefore they only have the outermost layer called the food sheath or food layer. When we are eating vegetables, obviously there is a certain amount of prana or life is also there, not just external form. There is inner energy. That's what actually sustains our physical body. By eating a stone or some mud, one cannot survive at all. So therefore, the food or plantation that we consume, that has the second layer known as prana, and otherwise known as vital air. And that's the reason why when you pick up, you plug a fruit or a vegetable from a plant, the tree that already has prana or life within itself, it extends to the fruit or the vegetable, and when we immediately consume it, the prana is very high. Meaning, such a fresh fruit or vegetable can give us maximum energy, and it is not so much when you store it with certain preservatives for days together in a refrigerator. And so the prana is the second layer we also have in our personality. And the third layer is a little subtler than the first two, the gross being the food sheath known as Annamaya Kosha. The second layer is the energy or prana, Pranamaya Kosha. And the third one, which is, as I said, the subtler than these two, is known as the mental sheath or Manomaya Kosha. Animals have feelings, and it is also discovered some traces of expression of feelings are also found in the plants, but not very very evident in them. While when you go and start talking to a plant, for example, it is said that they respond to it, but we may not visibly see it. Whereas in the case of animals, they do express the feelings, emotions. That only shows that their emotional sheath has been well developed. So animals have emotional sheath or mental sheath, and they do take certain decisions like to be awake or to be asleep, to be active or not to be active, restful. They also have expression of love towards their own offsprings. They have fear of enemy or some danger. They have feeling of security. They have feeling of family or clan, group. They have feeling of restlessness. All those which we all feel and emote are there in the animals, but not that much visibly seen in the case of plants, and it is absent in the case of a stone. So we understand the stone has only the outermost gross body. The plants have body as well as prana, the life force. Animals have one more layer developed in them, that is emotions and feelings. And when it comes to human beings, they have developed the sense of discrimination, ability to decide what to do, how to do, why to do, and at all do at all or not. So the ability to discriminate based upon the past experiences. Also trying to find out new ways of doing things, which is totally absent in the case of animals. The way to think based upon the given ideas and experiences of the past, and also think differently, coming out with a totally creative idea. This is the nature of the intellectual sheath known as Vijnanamaya Kosha, that is also seen to be well developed in the case of human. An animal also lives among us as well, but they do not have the ability to do things differently. They behave as though programmed. They are instinctive, not intellectual. Intellectually, they cannot approach any subject matter. Apart from all these four sheets that we have seen so far, there is one more sheet that is present, is known as the bliss sheath or Anandamaya Kosha. About this we will see a little later, but for the views of Vedanta, all beings, all things have got bliss sheath, and we will see how that is. So to start with here, the outermost layer, that is gross body. So it is the food sheath made of food, perishes constantly, and that is the nature of the food sheath, which is actually sustained by the food that we eat. And that's what the famous saying, you are what you eat. It is true. What we eat, what we drink, when we eat, how much we eat, all those matters to make the external or the grossest personality layer of ours. And therefore, in a healthy body, it requires healthy food, healthy habits, healthy consumption of food, and healthy exertion of the unwanted fat also, as well, through exercise and dieting. The vital air sheath is the physiological system, the energy behind action, and that is the second layer. Continuing on, that is the third layer, as you've seen, is the layer of emotions, feelings and emotions, called mental sheath. This is where most of us are whenever we take any decisions. Many of our decisions are not necessarily an intellectual, logical, rational ones. Most of them are based upon our tastes, our likes and dislikes, preferences, past experiences, what we want to enjoy, etc. So then comes the intellectual sheath, which is more of rational, linear thinking, mathematical thinking, logical, and it has conviction and logic. And the final one is the bliss sheath, which is actually the closest abode of the self, but expression is found only in the intellectual sheath. But the bliss sheath is said to be a layer of ignorance. We'll see that as we go further. Now, the next important topic, as we have to understand each layer independently, we'll start with the physical layer. The physical layer is abode of inert matter. When I say inert matter, what it means is it is a bundle of skin, flesh, blood, bones, and filth. The Vedantic masters have analyzed very carefully that these composite the entire physical world of all of us. For example, if you take a mango, for example, the outermost thing is that is skin, and within the skin and the seed, between these two, there are layers. There are fiber, and there is a flesh, which is what we eat, and there are minute blood vessels kind of things that are also running over the seed, which are considered as the vessels for blood, then obviously there is the seed which can be considered as a bone, and within that, that's which we don't eat at all, what is within the seed is an unwanted thing which is not for consumption. So that is the what we call it as a filth or unwanted layers of material. So which is not necessary for our consumption. It is not going to do any good. Therefore, when you are eating the mango, you basically, if you are able to eat the skin, well and good, you eat the skin. But mainly we are concentrating upon the fiber and the flesh. Now, so also in our physical body, there is the physical layer, the outermost layer is the skin, and within that is the flesh, blood, bones, and there is also enough amount of filth that is there in our body. So this is the physical layer. And the body is subject to constant change, which you cannot stop, which you can only witness. So the question that would be asked constantly by the Vedantic masters is, if you are the body, which is made up of all these things, which does not have any consciousness per se as knowing ability, so who is that which knows, or what is that which knows the change that are taking place in the physical body? And therefore, the question needs to be addressed in meditation. So the body is subject to death as well. So who wishes to live forever then? Nobody wants to die. And so if somebody says, I am subject to death, but I don't want to die. So when you say, I don't want to die, is it the body that is saying that I don't want to die? Or it is something other than the body which is existing in the body which is not ready to die, which wishes for immortality. So when one sits for meditation, it is necessary that one has to have a healthy body to start with. So for that purpose, one may practice some yoga, stretching exercise, or some kind of an active exercise such that the body is not tired and one is able to have certain healthy habits and proper eating and sleeping, such that the physical layer does not disturb you when you are sitting for meditation. That is the purpose of discussing it here. Yes, I have the physical body. How important it is for me to achieve spiritual progress. The body is a vehicle. Body needs to be taken care. It is a layer of various matter. Yes, I know that. But too much of attention on the physical body makes you preoccupy yourself with that and you'll not be having any time for any serious meditation. So one should take care by, as I said, healthy habits and food. And in seat of meditation, one should ask, I know that I am sitting, I know that I am aware of this physical body. If I am aware of the physical body, I cannot be any one of the part of the physical body. I am not my nose, I am not my tongue, I am not my eyes or ears or heart or lung or any of the other, so many things are there within my body. I am aware of their presence and they are necessary for my upkeep, to be active, etc. I do live in this physical body as a being, as a owner of this physical body. Just like I own a car, I use it for a purpose, so also I own this body for a purpose of engaging in this world. So this way, in the meditation, one is able to detachedly watch the presence of the body. That is important. Therefore, we are discussing it at this point. So, next one is the physiological layer. This is an important layer for us to actively engage in anything, which is otherwise known as prana. Pranas are 5 in number, connected to the body but different from the body. It is like you take a balloon, the balloon is filled with air, either you blow it or you fill with the air. And then when you just release it without closing the mouth of it, The air that is contained inside that balloon, when it starts releasing, the balloon starts moving with the power of the air. It starts going here and there, and finally when the completely all the air is gone, emptied out, it will fall down. So in the same way, the prana that is there, that is coming into our body through first one, which is called breathing in. So the breathing in and out, known as prana, is the one which is actually connects our body to the external atmospherical air. And in the Vedantic text, the prana is not just the air, but it is energy. The energy is coming into us through prana, through breathing. So breathing in and out, it is taking place automatically, unconsciously we have been doing it. And so this activity of breathing in and out itself shows that life is present in the body. A person who is not living, obviously he would not be breathing in and out. So the first expression of life takes place in the form of breathing in and out. The second one is that called apana. Second one is that which is apana. What happens is when you are taking the food through your mouth, it is the apana, the another aspect of prana, which is basically making you able to push the food inside. It pushes from outside, and as well as when the body has to be nourished, the food has to be brought in, and pushing the food inside the physical body is done by the power called apana, which is also essential for pushing the unwanted food outside your body as a fecal matter. That is also the work of apana. Then it's called another part of the air, vital air, is known as vyana. Vyana is that which circulates the energy and the blood throughout the various vessels, numerous thousands of various nervous system and other things which need to be nourished are done by this particular aspect of the air, which is known as vyana. Then comes the other one that pushes things above, like in a case of a person who is vomiting, that is the aspect of the air which pushes it out. When you are belching, it is also done by the udana vayu. And also when finally an individual getting out of the physical body at the time of death, it is this udana that makes you come out of the physical body. And the last but not the least one is that which helps us digest the food, which is known as samana. Samana, that remains mainly in the stomach area, that makes the digestion possible. Various things that we eat, and all of them have to be mixed together properly and to be completely digested so that the energy is produced, and the vyana is that which circulates the energy throughout the body. So these five of them, prana, apana, vyana, udana and samana, these five of them effectively function, and when they are functioning, we have energy, and this energy is essential for us to actively engage in whatever we do. Thus, therefore, the physiological layer of our personality is present in human beings as well as in the case of plants, because the plants also engages in it's also one part of the living kingdom, and it also derives its energy from water, sunlight, from the earth, and it also has a digestive process. It produces the fruits on vegetables, leaves, which serves as the food for us or to the animals, etc. So the plant kingdom has got the physiological layer like all other evolved living beings. This physiological layer is not found in the rocks and the stones and the sands, etc. Now, the prana is the power behind the organs of action, hands, legs, speech, organs of excretion and reproduction. These are the five organs of action which get their power from the presence of prana in our body. So in the seat of meditation, one focuses on this as a second step, and he understands that this prana, that is breathing in and breathing out, this brings about a connection with the life outside to inside. The energy is produced within the body, and that is used by my various parts of my sense organs and body parts, etc. But again, I am able to observe them going on within the body. Me, the observer, is different from what is observed. So therefore, I am not the prana, even though I have the prana efficiently working to maintain this physical body. Next layer of our personality, psychological layer. This psychological layer, to start with, is the mental sheath, the power behind the sense organs of perception, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. In other words, we have the eyes, ears, nose, and skin, but who is that, or what is that which engages these sense organs into their field of activity? If I am able to see, why you want to see? Why are you seeing? Why are you hearing? Why do you smell? Why do you taste? Why do you touch? What is that which is making you experience the sense of touch, sight, etc.? That is the layer called the emotional layer, mind. It is the abode of feelings and emotions that prompt the sense organ to respond to the world. In dream, this projects the undigested thoughts and creates the dream world. So whatever we could not experience during the day, and we are at the time of sleep or about to sleep, the mind gets more power because you have shut down the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, etc. So such a mind creates its own dream world, and through which it experiences what it wants to, which could not be accomplished during the waking state. That's why some people say, oh, I have a dreadful dream, I have a nice dream, I have a most pleasant dream, oh, I had a depressive, unpleasant one. These are all expressions of the undigested thoughts in your mind, which are expressing during the state of dream. That state is known as dream, in other words. In waking state, this projects the desires and prompts one to engage in the world. So that's what we are busy with. We are all pursuing what we like. We are staying away from what we don't like. We go and repeat things that we enjoy, and we do not ever, do things which have given some bitter experiences to us. This mind, therefore, accordingly decides to engage and not to engage in things. So that's the nature of the mind. In sleep, it is in a state of suspension. It stays without prompting any thought or responses. That's the reason why one finds oneself quiet and peaceful. Now, in the seat of meditation, one should focus and understand that these thoughts are in the form of emotions and feelings that come to me, are engaging me seriously in many things, but essentially these are stored emotions and feelings. And I am able to see those thoughts arising in my mind. Let us say there is an angry thought that arises in my mind. I can clearly see it, and it is trying to occupy me and making me upset and angry. But in the seat of meditation, an individual is able to see clearly, detachedly, witnessing that this thought has arisen in me, and I know that it is trying to overpower me. If I permit, it will come and I become a victim of it. If I just watch, it will die its own natural death. And thus, a meditator is a witness to rising emotions and feelings, and not the victim of it. Human beings alone is given this next layer known as intellectual layer. This is the one which is capable of discriminating right and wrong, good and bad, do's and don'ts. It not only follows certain logic, analytical way of thinking, but also it has the creativity within itself. What is unknown can be known by thinking, and that thinking process is done by the intellectual layer of our personality. So therefore, it is the abode of knowledge, discrimination, and also dispassion, what to give up and why one should give up, etc. But one thing most important that we need to know about the intellectual layer of our personality is it has the sense of I. I am so and so, I am great, I know, I can accomplish, I have done this, I am proud. So this sense of I, sense of ego, is predominantly there in the intellectual layer of our personality. And the intellect of ours effectively uses memory, past experiences, information to judge and act. And it is said in Vedanta that the intellectual layer is the one layer just below the powerful power of consciousness. It is a reflecting media, just like a mirror. When it reflects the light that is coming to it, it appears to be the source of life, but it is not. In the same way, an intellectual layer is that in which the consciousness expresses itself, and therefore the intellect has this misunderstanding, I am the knower, I am the one who knows. The consciousness is my nature. The intellect thus owns what is reflected on it. So this is what we call it as the sense of ego, and therefore intellectual layer is, even though blessed with the consciousness reflecting upon it, but it also has the danger of becoming arrogant. So we have seen so far the physical personality, which is the gross body, physiological layer, that is the prana sharir, vital air, psychological layer, which is mind, and intellectual layer is, that is the vijnanamaya kosha. Now these four are known to us. We are familiar in everyday life. We do experience many things which are either of the gross or the prana sharir, physiological, psychological layer, or intellectual. These four are pretty much engages in this world. All of the four engage in this world on a daily basis. So what is introduced to us are the next one and beyond. The next one is basically the layer that in the state of sleep, known as vasana layer. This is abode of ignorance and past impressions. It influences the way one thinks, feels, perceives, and reacts. It is an obstruction on the path of realization of the self, pure consciousness. It creates a sense of bliss in the deep sleep state. This is a layer which we do not comprehend that easily. It is not available for us to know that easily. It is pretty much present in the time of deep sleep, when our mind, intellect, body, senses are all remaining quiet. Since the mind and intellect are not effectively functioning during the state of sleep, we cannot comprehend the existence of vasanas. But having said that, this vasana layer is the one which is actually influencing all that we do. The way we perceive, the way we feel, the way we think, everything is influenced by the vasanas. These vasanas are, as we have seen earlier also, are the impressions of the past of many lives. And therefore, how many are there? How vast is the vasana or collection? We don't know. But this, unless we overcome this vasana layer, we are still in bondage only. It is the one which is obstructing in our path towards realization is this vasanas. Since we do not know how many are there, it is hard to take up one by one and eliminate it. So therefore, the method which is prescribed in Vedanta is, as long as you give importance to the vasanas that emerge in your mind as desires, thoughts, actions in the body, you will never be able to overcome that. So vasanas are seen to be controlling you from within, and therefore one has to overcome them by ignoring them or bypassing them and reaching to the spiritual self. This is exactly what happens in meditation. You cannot, by experiencing vasanas, you can never exhaust them. You do not even know, none of us know how many of the past impressions are accumulated there. Please understand one thing, Vedanta clearly says vasanas are the innermost core of an individual as far as the matter vestures are concerned. And the vasanas are not outside us. We may think that when I see something which I like to enjoy, it is the impressions that are coming from outside, the influence is from somewhere external, which is not true. If I have a vasana for drinking, for example, a bottle of whiskey or rum which is kept in front of me will start disturbing me. Why? Because my mind, which is again a victim of the vasanas, is going to go for it. It is not the bottle that is inviting me to drink, it is the vasanas that are there in me that is prompting me to act. Whereas another person who does not have the vasana for drinking liquor or any hard drink, such a person, even if he is in the midst of all the various bottles of whiskey and rum and whatnot, he will remain quiet and peaceful. He will not be disturbed. So what makes the difference is not the objects outside in our world, it is the vasanas, impressions that are there collected by us over many, many lives. So once we realize this, then how to overcome this strong influence of vasanas? This is where the meditation becomes an important. Now, the spiritual layer is what the layer which needs to be reached by a person who is meditating. This is where the presence of the self is experienced. The self, what we mean by that is pure consciousness, uninfluenced, undisturbed, unpolluted by thoughts, feelings, emotions, impressions. None of the factors that are there in the other 5 layers are there in this particular layer, and there is no influence from them. And then presence of pure consciousness, it is timeless, deathless, according to Vedanta and Upanishads basically. It is the abode of all bliss and expresses as life throughout the body. And so it is also witness of all, same in everyone. This is what is worshipped in the temples as God, because that very self, which is the very life of all of us, which is making our entire body able to function, the very feeling that I am alive is because of the presence of this self, which is also known as pure consciousness, pure existence and pure bliss. Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. So it is the witness but not a participant in all that we do. So the meditator has to reach this basically after having crossed over all the 5 layers. This, once it is clear, then we can move further. It is the same one which is in the waking, dream and sleep states for all of us, which is present, unparticipating, a pure witness. Why meditation? Or what is meditation? Now, we have seen the basic reason why we have to meditate. That is to say that as long as we are bound by the impressions, past impressions, vasanas, the body will act according to the vasana pressure coming through the intellect as a thought, or the intellect as a desire, in the mind as a thought, and in the body as action. So, and we continuously appease the demands of the body and the senses and the mind, and our life is like anybody else. Everyday situation like eat, drink, go to places, experience things and then sleep, again get up and then do the same thing over and over and over and again. And you will find that you may physically get old or mentally get exhausted because of the physical old age, but the soul, the very you, is not moving an inch. It is not progressing at all. And therefore, the great masters have said, the purpose of the very life in this world is not just to experience the world, it is to move ahead, move forward. Like a child which is going to the school, And in the beginning stages of one's schooling, the school doesn't stop anyone from going to the next grade. So whether you are good or bad, whether you have studied or not, from the first grade to second grade, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you keep going. Nobody stops you. But when it comes to high school or higher studies, there they test you. If you are not doing well in the 9th grade, you cannot go to 10th. If you are not doing 10th properly, proper grade is not there, you cannot go for the 11th or 12th. And most crucially, if you are not doing well in the last two grades, you cannot even apply for an admission in the university. In the same way, it is necessary for us to look within and see, how is my soul doing? Is it same as animalistic as it was been before? What is the fundamental difference between me as a human being versus me as a any other animal? What is the difference? That is also eating, mating, living according to the demands of the body. I am also doing the same thing. I may do indoors within a house, and the animals do it outside. They live in the forest. I live in the jungle forest. The concrete jungle, buildings and other things. And they go for hunting inside the forest. I go hunting for money through jobs. But basically we are having the same animal instincts. Is that all that I need to do? Is that all I am here for? Then that question arises in your mind through correct guidance and the proper teaching from a teacher. Then you realize, I'm here for a different purpose. I'm here to move forward. I'm here not to get stuck again. And such a person seeks for an answer. What is beyond? What is that I need to do in this very life? So meditation becomes an essential step for spiritual progress. But having said that, it is also proven in many different areas that meditation is important practice for even physical health. As you see here, in the 10th most common complementary and alternative medicine, or called CAM therapies, there are enough statistics to prove prayer for one's own health also can improve one's health. Prayer for others for one's own health, prayer by others, and natural products, deep breathing exercises, participation in prayer group, meditation, chiropractic care, yoga, massage, diet-based therapies. All these are all called as alternative medicines, complementary medicines. But they are also useful in physical upkeep or health also. A federal study published in 2004 found that 62% adults had used some form of non-conventional therapy in the previous 12 months, with top choices including prayer, deep breathing exercises, and meditation. So you can understand the role of meditation even in the physical health, or tuning the health and calming the mind. Now let us understand meditation in a different perspective. From the standpoint of Vedanta, meditation is not merely a means for relaxation. That happens even in sleep. Whenever the mind is quiet, when your body is relaxing, you are able to regain your energy and strength. Even if you take a short nap of say half hour or 10 minutes, 20 minutes, when you wake up, because the body has taken rest, the mind has become quiet, you feel that you are ready for next 5 hours to work. Why it is? Because there is a certain amount of energy conserved and energy rejuvenated in the body and the mind. So is meditation such a practice where it is mainly for upkeep of the energy or quietude of the mind, rejuvenation of energy in the body? Is it so? No, it is not. Next, in meditation, you direct your mind toward a spiritual layer of your personality. As we have seen, our daily life is mainly focused on dealing with the physical, physiological, psychological, intellectual personalities that are there within us, and also to the Vasanamaya kosha. So these are all the layers in which we constantly engage in, Pancha kosha, or 5 layers. But Vedanta says that meditation is a practice by which you direct your attention to the innermost of all of them, which is your own spiritual layer of personality. So in meditation, you advise the mind to accept facts and cross the barriers of the mind, reduce restlessness. In the meditation, you are not going to worry and start contemplating upon how to solve problems. So in meditation, you don't ask yourself how to solve the problem that I have in my mind. Instead, you ask, who has the problem? There is a leap of difference, a large amount of thinking has gone behind these two questions. What is your, how to solve a problem versus who has the problem? So if you say that I have a problem in my workplace with my boss, my colleagues, or at home with my spouse, etc., these are all problems which you think that you need to resolve. But a meditator is one who is not sitting there for meditation to solve the problem. He is sitting there to dissolve the problem. What do I mean by dissolving the problem? First of all, find out, is the problem really there or I imagine it to be? And even if it is there, to whom is this problem? For example, if I'm angry about somebody who behaved in a certain way, I didn't like it, or somebody said something which is so bitter. So I'm very upset and angry. How dare that person can say such thing to me, and that too in the presence of all people, and that is very intimidating, and he doesn't have manners. He should have thought about it before telling me, all those things, right? So that's a problem that you have. But then, is it not that your ego is hurt in the process? That I am so and so, and how can he say about me in presence of others? It's okay if he tells me when I am alone, but why does he tell about others? What's the problem? What will others think about me? And they will also laugh at me the way the person who shouted at me also did, made me feel so humiliated. Now, the point is that the ego is hurt. This is the problem. It doesn't matter who shouted at me. I mean, it may be my colleague, it may be my boss, it can be somebody else, my spouse, or my neighbor, or somebody whom I don't know. Irrespective of who shouted at me, the shouting causing the hurting the ego. What is this ego? Identification. What is identification? I am so and so. This so and so is not given respect. This so and so is not regarded the way it should be treated. The so and so is not even honored. He is not given the due importance that I am expecting. So therefore, it is me having a notion about myself which somebody has destroyed. This destruction of my own notion about myself is the hurt. I want my idea about myself to be accepted by all. And nobody, if somebody doesn't accept my idea about myself, I don't like that person. If I consider myself a smart fellow who can handle situations, one who is capable of, one who is successful, one who is accomplished person, one who has a lot of influence over other things, and I know certain officials in the government, or I can do things with my power, my own connection network, etc. And somebody says you're good for nothing. Oh, how dare you say that? So now my notion about myself is not accepted by somebody. This is what is causing the trouble. So the question the meditator would ask is not how to solve the problem, how to dissolve it. Who has the problem? It is the ego. Unless the ego is destroyed, problems cannot be solved. So how to destroy the ego? Who is this ego? This is a wrong assumption about myself. So it is, first of all, I do not know that the wrong assumption. It is a wrong assumption. I consider it is right. Unless I come to know about who really I am, my own assumption, myself, cannot be seen as wrong. So therefore, in meditation, you bring the fundamental change in perception and purpose of your life. A meditator thus emerges as a new person. completely new in thinking. He's not the same old person who gets hurt that easily because of somebody's behavior, somebody's saying something, or something happens around him. No, he emerges himself to be totally a new person, new way of thinking, and who becomes strong, that I cannot be influenced by anything outside that happens around me. This is what gives a strength to such a person in meditation. Thus, quietly, he reorganizes the way of thinking. In meditation, you gradually withdraw your attention from the physical layer of your personality and cross the inner layers till you reach the spiritual layer. This whole journey from physical to spiritual layer is the time-consuming meditation practice. It has to be done consistently, carefully, with the proper guidance and with the correct understanding. Because discarding our identity as a physical personality itself is so hard, because that is what we have been thinking about ourselves for a long period of time. For so long we have been thinking ourselves to be that, and to overcome that is not that easy. Further, in meditation, the aim is to discover the spirit as you are, which is deathless and blissful. It is not only crossing over all the 5 layers, but discovering the spiritual self as real you, and that which is blissful and deathless. It is immortal. Constant vigilance over the reactions of the mind is essential to succeed in discovering the spiritual self in you through meditation. And Gurudev used to say, it is not only the seat of meditation. While thus interacting with the world outside, constantly have a watch over your mind, how you behave, how you react, how you get affected, why you get affected, how you are victimized. It's a silent conversation that is going on within you. Nobody else can even know about it. Nobody will know it. It is a conversation that is going on within you about how I have been reacting to situation and how I should be based upon the new found information about myself. And thus a meditator is a quiet, contemplative individual. In meditation, you develop a deep love for your spiritual self. Thereby, you develop the same love for all living beings. Once you discover that the spiritual self in you is the same in all living beings, then you come to see oneness. That what is in me is what is in everyone. And thus the love for the higher self, because of the very fact that it is pure, blissful, free, and therefore we all want to be clean, and we all want to be loving, we all want to be free from all shackles or bondages, and that is actually me. It's already there. I'm not looking at it carefully. Thus you come to know who you are and emerge as a completely new person while practicing many times the meditation as prescribed by the teacher and the scriptures. Let us conclude this week's presentation here, and in the next week have a healthy discussion on the 5 layers of human personality and why meditate. And then we will meet again for the following week with the topic on the same, meditation part 2. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.